Hello, entrepreneurs. Joe DeChara coming to you live once again with Joe DeChara Presents. And tonight, happy Sunday night, everybody. Tonight is going to be a short one, just to introduce a new, not a new topic, but a topic that just isn't going away. The independent contractor versus employee, it's going to be huge. It's snowballing, and I could see this. It took root really in California with their ridiculous AB5 rule, where they are basically telling everybody that there are no independent contractors. Everybody is an employee. The employer, whoever you're working for, has to withhold payroll taxes. They're going to have to buy insurance for you, all because basically they need the money. Which I could understand, but they're hurting. They are hurting the smallest of small businesses. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Joe DeChara. I pop on here quite often to rant about what's going on with small businesses, with the government, how they're making it impossible for new business owners to succeed. And what makes me qualified to talk about this? Well, I am a CPA. I'm a serial entrepreneur myself. I know firsthand my own personal experience how complicated and confusing it is to start and run a business. Not just from the tax and accounting side. That's most people don't want to be bothered with that, but it's complicated enough just to try to figure out what the heck a sales funnel is and how to do marketing and what do I do with social media. We're getting hit with all kinds of stuff constantly from the moment that we started business. And now, not only does the government want to know who, what, when, where, how, and why we're doing what we're doing. They want to be partners with. They want to be not partners. They want to be the CEO of our businesses, of our small micro businesses, by determining whether or not we're independent or not. We don't get to choose anymore, or so they say. Uh, and if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, if you're an unincorporated entity, in other words, if you're a sole proprietor, if you're a freelancer, or more importantly, if you hire sole proprietor or freelancers or any kind of unincorporated business, you're in danger. And I can't believe, I never thought that it would get to this, but you're in danger of the state or the federal government coming in and saying that all those independent contractors that you paid, you did business with, you paid them according to an arm's length transaction where you both agreed that they were independent. Well, now the state is going to come in and say, well, no, you should have been paying payroll taxes on these people. They were really employees. And they can do it retroactively, going back 2 years. So now if you're a solopreneur, if you're somebody like me that keeps their costs low by not hiring employees, by hiring independent workers, by hiring people that are on their own, how would you like to a year from now or 2 years from now get a bill from the State Department of Labor that says, oh, by the way, that copywriter that you hired in California, well, they're really employees. You should have been taking payroll taxes out. This has huge implications because one of the things that I saw happening in California right off the bat was that people would not hire independent contractors anymore. So people that were in, like side gig industries, entertainers, people that I have a friend that did specialized gigs at bars and restaurants where they would he would put together a group of dancers and singers and entertainers and go and do these short events, a couple of nights. Well, now what the state is saying is those people that he's hiring are employees. That puts his cost to a point where it's not a viable business. Now he's got to get workers' comp. He's got to do all the payroll for these people, which is a whole nother administrative nightmare. It's a whole nother level of compliance that solopreneurs do not have to deal with. So what's the solution, folks? There is a solution. Because what the government is saying, in effect, is that you're not an employee because you're not independent, because you're not really acting independent. You might, just because you say that you're independent, does not make you independent anymore. On the surface, how you're doing business matters. Are you offering your services to the general public, or are you only working for one person? Or more importantly, the person that you're hiring, are they only working for you? Well, what are some of the ways to show that you are independent? Even if you are only working for one person, I get to choose how I run my business. And if I'm an Uber driver in California and I want to be a business owner, I don't want taxes taken out of my check. Because once they start taking taxes out of my check, I lose all of those business deductions. See, employees don't get business deductions. I can't write off the car that I'm using now in my job. Well, guess what? The tax law basically eliminated any job-related expenses that you can deduct. I mean, most people can't even itemize anymore. So once again, they're making it harder for micro business owners to do business. They can say that it's, they do it under the guise of, employee rights. Independent contractors don't have the same rights as employees. Well, that's one of the things that we give up voluntarily. I don't want to be able to collect unemployment. I'm in business. In fact, the government has said from the beginning of time that if you're self-employed, you can't collect unemployment. Well, now you're telling us that we're not self-employed. Well, how do I prove that I am self-employed? Number one, I'm going to incorporate. I am going to be a separate business entity. Not an LLC, because an LLC is still technically an independent contractor. An LLC has no tax status. An LLC only has legal status. It has nothing, there are no tax ramifications at all when somebody becomes an LLC. If they are still considered an unincorporated entity, they are still tied to the business personally. And that's what you want to do. You want to separate the individual from the business. And being an incorporated entity is a very strong step in that direction. If you're in business, you need to have a website, believe it or not. You need to have business cards. You need to be out there offering your services to the general public. Now, there was recently, and I got to look at this, I think a federal court ruled in California against Uber and Lyft that if you are a driver in California, you are now going to be considered an employee, and they are fighting it still. And, you know, what irks me is that these are administrative rules. It's not like the politicians can go out and say, oh, you raise taxes. But they are raising taxes. They're raising taxes by enforcing rules according to rules that were written decades ago that do not match with today's economy, with today's business owner. An Uber driver is an independent contractor. Okay? Now, they should have a choice of being listed as an employee. And what that would mean is, listen, I'm going to drive for you between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday. Anytime that buzzer goes off, I'm at your disposal. As opposed to, listen, if that buzzer goes off and I'm not interested, I'm not taking a ride. To me, that is an independent business owner. So I am going to be ranting about this, giving information, showing people how to not circumvent the rules. Okay? Tax avoidance is legal. When we take legal steps to avoid paying taxes, that's good business. When we try to circumvent the rules by breaking laws and not paying attention, that's, let's just put it, that's not good business. So the argument that small businesses from both sides of the spectrum, in other words, the people being hired and the small businesses hiring them, should have a choice. We should have a choice. And it shouldn't be whether or not the entity is incorporated or not incorporated, has a website, doesn't it? Because that's neither here nor there as far as if they're running a business. But if that's what we got to do, if we got to take care of that surface stuff to actually have the appearance of being in business, well, then so be it. Then we will have to go through the motions, just like a lot of the other unnecessary steps and procedures that the government has to put up there to make it tough for us. We will sidestep these obstacles. And I am going to give you all the tools and the resources that I have at my disposal, all the information to help you stay in business. Now, if you want to be an employee, then that's great. Put a resume together and get a job. But if your intention is to be independent, no matter what that means, if it's for lifestyle purposes, to actually grow a business. I mean, I've met Uber drivers that wanted to hire other Uber drivers. They wanted to have businesses. They wanted to have businesses. And being subject to additional rules and regulations that will blindside most small businesses, because most small businesses just don't have the time, energy, mental capacity to keep up with this stuff. It's hard enough for me to keep up with it, and I'm on top of this stuff. I've been watching this issue for years, and I honestly thought that this was going to go away. But it ain't going away. It's like the coronavirus, folks. It ain't going away. It's only going to get worse. And there's going to be a whole wave of new business failures, business being stifled because of there's just an unknown. If I'm a business owner in California, I'm at risk right now. I got to be careful of anybody that I'm hiring, anybody that I'm doing business with. It's almost like now you're going to have to do a background check to make sure that this guy is actually in business. Do they have any other customers? Are you their only source of income? I mean, this is this is a whole nother level of compliance insanity, folks. And I don't know. I know what the solution is. The solution is what I've been offering people for a long time, which is, if you're in business, and this isn't anything new, it's just become more important, a lot more important. That if you're in business, that you do it as a business, run it as a business, not as a side gig. Because if that's how you're doing it, you're putting yourself in danger, and you're putting anybody that's hired you in danger. There's another issue going out there for people that are authors, that hire people like copyright editors. They are coming in and saying that those copyright editors are potentially employees. So this, which I thought was going to be isolated to just crazy California, because they seem to do what, it's like whatever. I think they get together and say, what can we do to hurt small businesses even more? What can we do to drive small businesses out of our state? That's what I think they actually do. But other states are following suit. And there's multi-state implications. I was recently hired by a firm in California. I'm in New York to do a special accounting project that lasted 2 months. And they insisted that I be paid as an employee. Insisted. It was either I get a paycheck or I don't get the gig. So I took the gig, but after a while, I started realizing that, hey, as an employee and a CPA, considered a CFO of a small company, I have some legal and fiduciary responsibilities that you don't have as an independent contractor. And I am without a doubt independent. So if that gig was going to, at the end, I had to tell them, listen, either I'm independent or I'm out of here. And they let me go. There were other issues, I wouldn't have kept the job anyway. But the fact is now that what they've done without realizing is they opened up a whole nother can of worms for themselves. Because you can't just go and hire an employee in another state. You can't just do that. Because guess what? Now you are physically doing business in that state by definition. And another big issue that's always been a big issue is, where do people register? Where are people doing business? Everybody wants to register in Delaware or Texas and Nevada because they think they're going to get away without doing state taxes. But in reality, it doesn't work that way. If you're in California, if you're living and doing business in California, you got to be registered in California. And if you're physically located by law, by definition, in another state, you have to be registered there. So this California company that paid me as an employee in New York now is supposed to file a New York State tax return. And they are supposed to be registered with the Secretary of State. So there's a whole administrative hurricane brewing that won't catch up with them for about a year and a half, when they start getting notices from New York State saying, why haven't you filed a tax return here? So if you could see how this could mushroom and snowball and really start affecting people, because they also, when they have the workers' comp audit, the workers' comp people are going to start, they're going to want to get paid for the employees that are in New York. And this is what's happening, folks. So if you want to sit on this and wait, the people that are waiting and letting things just happen are going to get left behind, just like anything else. Now, I try to stay in front of issues like this. I've been watching the internet sales tax issue for decades, and it's been going on ever since the internet started. And now, if you notice your Amazon bill, you're getting charged tax on items that you never got charged before. Well, guess what? It's all because of technology, and they figured out a way to police us. Now, they still can't police us individually. Like if I go, anyway, what they did was they went after the big boys, the Amazons, the eBays, even Etsy's, the people that were doing a lot of internet business. That was trackable. It was trackable because it's digital. Today, when we do business, it's all digital. It's all trackable. And a few years ago, they started requiring policing businesses, corporations that pay independent contractors. We are supposed to be giving independent contractors, sole proprietors, 1099s, even if it's your web developer or your VA. You're supposed to be issuing 1099s. And this is how it's going, folks. So this is the next big issue. Pay attention to it. Again, you can't go through business blindly. I wouldn't be bringing this up. I have a lot of other issues that I could be talking about, more positive instead of dodging bullets like this. But this is going to be almost as important as being incorporated. If you're a sole proprietor, it's extremely important to be incorporated. Now, if you're a sole proprietor, it's even more important to be incorporated for different reasons. For the independent contractor versus employee reasons. So they just added more incentive for people to incorporate, if you can believe that. That's my story, folks. Thank you for watching, Elizabeth. Once again, I love you. You are the best VA in the world, and I mean that. And happy Sunday, everybody. I hope you have a great week. I will be back tomorrow with more interesting, mind-bending business topics on accounting, if that's possible. All right, good night.